So now let's get a little bit of practice with writing the roster and set builder forms of a set, just so you can see how these compare, which ones are easier to work with in certain situations, and just how to interpret them. All right, so let's say, for instance, we wanted to write out the set of all states in the United States, okay? You could start in roster form. You could just list them all out. There's 50 of them, right? So the roster form. Now with a set, one thing I do want to mention is that we surround a set with the brace notation. All right, these are like squiggly brackets. All right, so you're going to see those throughout our study of set theory. So in roster form, the states of the United States, you might say, you've got Alaska, you've got Alabama, you've got Arkansas, you've got, I'm trying to think of all the A's. Obviously I'm not doing this alphabetical exactly, but just the A's, Arizona, right, so close to alphabetical anyway. And the list goes on. Now, this is only 4 of the names. I'd have to list off all 50 states. And you can see how the roster notation gets very lengthy, okay, even with a set just of 50, let alone a set that's, thousands in its size. So, not a real convenient way to write it. In fact, I put the 3 dots here called an ellipse, just to show that it keeps going without actually writing it in. Now, unfortunately, that's not sufficient for this particular set, because the ellipse typically represents a pattern that continues. Well, all I have up here are states whose name starts with an A. If I were to just put the ellipse and end it there, unfortunately, it's not very clear without me stating what it is I'm putting in this set. Just looking at the set itself, it's not clear what all is going in there. It could just be states whose name starts with the letter A, or something like that. And so we don't know, it's not well defined yet. It would be well defined if you just continued to list them all off and put them in there. Okay, obviously I'm not going to do that. Right, so anyway, that ellipse is not really an appropriate thing to use for this set. I'm just trying to save some time and space. Now what I could do is write this in set builder form. And in set builder form, again, you use a symbol and then a description. So again, we're going to use the squiggly brackets, or they're called braces technically. And then we're going to use a symbol. I'm going to use the letter S, maybe a capital S for state, followed by our bar to separate the left and right side. Some textbooks use a colon there instead of a bar, but our textbook uses a bar. So S, and then over here I might say S is a state in the United States of America. All right. Now that is well defined. I don't actually have all of the states listed, but I don't need them listed in set builder form. All I need is a description that is well defined, so that if I said North Carolina, for instance, you know that it's in there. If you said British Columbia, well, that's actually in Canada, so it wouldn't be in this set. So you can very easily determine the elements of the set and elements that are not in the set. Okay, in this set, let's call this set A. All right, so often we use a letter or a variable to represent the set. So let's say this is A is the set of states in the US. All right. And so I would say that Alaska, for instance, is an element of set A. When we say an element, we have a symbol for that. And the symbol for that is this kind of an E symbol. It looks like a letter E, but it's kind of curved more. I don't know. It's not quite the letter E. But Alaska is an element of set A. All right. I don't know what other states are there. Hawaii is an element of set A. All right. Connecticut, Montana, Wyoming, right? They're all elements of set A. All right. So a set, again, can be listed in two different ways: roster notation or set builder notation. The roster notation lists every individual element of the set. The set builder notation lists a symbol followed by a description that is well defined for that set.